poso maoni wiak, waiwanan kitana ni mua yoski piataya posnotaman yum MITW Podcast. Yospis piataya posnapi notaman and hisikimaka yoso matnamin kihi.
Welcome to the Menominee Indian Tribe of Wisconsin podcast with your hosts, Gary Dodge and
Sheena Wapus.
On this episode, we'll be interviewing emergency management about winter weather safety. We also have Francisco Alegria from Agriculture and Food Systems here with us to talk about healthy holiday foods.
Ben Warrington from Emergency Management is here with us to talk about winter weather safety and how to stay warm during extreme cold weather.
Well, the first thing we can do is slow down, be prepared for changing conditions on the roadways. You never know what's around the next corner. Could be some black ice that you really can't see. Might be another vehicle that could be stopped on side of the road. So slow down, know what's coming in front of you.
With accumulating snow, what are some safety tips while out shoveling or plowing snow?
Well, when we're shoveling, we definitely need to recognize what our limitations are, not staying out too long in the cold. There's always a chance for injury, especially when we get heavy snow with trying to lift and stuff like that. So basically, know your limitations. Don't stay out too long in the real cold, so you get any type of cold injuries or stuff like that. So.
Along with the accumulating snow, our youth will be playing outside during this winter. How can parents and other family members keep our youth safe?
Well, make sure they're bundled up. Jackets, hats, gloves, mittens. Kids are always good for losing their hats, losing their gloves, losing mittens. So, but make sure that they've got those things, and just know where they're at. We never know what's around out there. There's all kinds of different people, so we need to make sure we know where our kids are at all times.
What are your thoughts on snow forts?
Well, when I was a kid, they were fun. But, they come with their own type of dangers, both collapsing as well as if they're made next to the roadway. You never know when maybe the highway department is coming around and knocking down banks and stuff like that. So, again, watch where our kids are at, and all within having fun. We still need to be safe out there.
Okay, so other activities that our community might be involved in, such as ice fishing, what are some safety tips for ice fishing?
We need to make sure we know what the thickness of the ice is. The Tribal Environmental Services always puts out information in regards to each lake on the reservation and what the thicknesses are. So make sure we watch those thicknesses. Log on to the Environmental Services site or give Environmental Services or Conservation Department a call. They'll be able to tell you what those thicknesses are and if it's safe to drive a ATV or a vehicle on those lakes.
With the use of recreational vehicles in our area, what are some safety tips or guidelines?
Well, slow down. That's the number one thing we see. ATVs, UTVs, and snowmobiles in the wintertime that really go a high rate of speed. Make sure we're wearing helmets and other type of safety equipment. And again, the lakes, make sure that the lakes are frozen before we take those vehicles out on the lakes.
How can our community members prepare their homes for winter or freezing temperatures?
Well, there's a number of things that we can do. Sometimes you get the older homes are not insulated very well. We can put plastic on the windows, heat systems, whether that be a gas system, LP system, or wood. Need to make sure those things are maintained and that they're ready for the winter. As well as any type of water systems that are outside, maybe for garden hoses or stuff. Need to make sure those things are put away and shut off so they don't freeze and then end up breaking a water line during the winter.
So along with that, what are some precautions people should take while outside during freezing temperatures?
Again, making sure you're dressed for the weather. Gloves, hats, jackets, and not staying out too long in the cold. Hypothermia can set in, and basically a person can stay out a long time and really not know that they're getting hypothermic. So, just be cautious out there and take your time, go in and warm up at times.
During the cold snaps, is there any emergency plans in place for the community?
Yes, we do. In the event of, say, power outages during cold weather, we have plans to open shelters or warming centers, one in each community. And as that need comes, we would be getting that message out there. Between Menominee County Emergency Management, Menominee Tribal Emergency Management, we have a real good working relationship that we can provide services to the membership.
So where will the warming shelters be located, you mentioned?
We have one in each community. So Zor would be the ceremonial building. We can also use the community center in Zor. South Branch, we have a community center there. Neopet, we have the tribal school as well as the middle school there in Neopet. Kashina, we have a number of areas as well. We've got the recreation center or some other tribal facilities that we can use.
Will there be any overnight warming shelters in the area?
That's all dependent on the situation. So, like I said in the last question, we do have those facilities in each community. If the need be to keep those open during extended periods, we can do that. So,
Are there any further winter weather safety tips that you'd like to get out to the community?
well, kind of watch for the tribe's Facebook page, as well as other avenues that are out there for information. We're planning on putting out some written documents in regards to safety, both recreation and shoveling and stuff like that, and winter sports. So just kind of keep an eye out for that information.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, with us here today we have Francisco Alegria. He's from the Department of Agriculture and Food Systems with the tribe, and he's going to be talking to us today about some healthier alternatives to the holiday recipes that we all know and love.
The holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Thanksgiving is our celebration of our harvest. From from my perspective, anyway. Pre-contact, before we celebrated, Thanksgiving, as what we call it today, was celebrating our growing season, and then was our feast. It wasn't the Pilgrims, and we celebrated that pre that. Thanksgiving is not that bad for health options. The turkey and the cranberries and the fruits, but Christmas is the one that gets us, I believe. The cookies and all the sweets and then you make your rounds to this. If you have a big family, you go from this to this, and then you have your work Christmas party and Christmas cookies. And
Yep, we know about that.
And being Mexican descent, tamales are big for us during the holidays. Well, we have tamales all year, but Christmas tamales, it's a thing for us. So there's we moderation is key here. Less cookies, less sweets. But I was saying earlier, tamales, that's a tough one to do. Is to limit yourself to 1-2 tamales. Next you're 20 in, you're 50, you're 30 in. So what would be an option? Lard. You mix the lard. You mix the fats in the tamales. Substitutions for unsaturated fats, like maybe a coconut oil, that would be a good option for tamales. With the cookies and the frostings, you can always substitute. yogurt would work. When you're making cookies and sweets, there's substitution for sweeteners. It's called a hydroscopic sweetener. Is you take, let's say I have a sugar, you need this much, you need ½ pound sugar, right? So you take that ½ pound and you substitute some of that for, let's say, applesauce. And what that does is it's a hydroscopic sweetener. So not only do you take some of that sugar content out of what you're preparing, you also add moisture to it. So you get a nice soft, so there's two birds, one stone. With some of those substitutions, I said, the real thing is moderation. You just need to be like, hey, I need to slow down.
So, traditionally, what kind of suggestions do you have for like Thanksgiving or Christmas?
Thanksgiving, what we do in my family, we're gardeners, so we always save a pumpkin. Pumpkins are my favorite. We save a pumpkin, and then what we do is this is our turkey. So this is our main thing on our table, just like your turkey would be for traditional families. Our pumpkin, we stuff it with wild rice, with venison, with cranberries, walnuts, and we bake that off, and that's our main course at our kitchen table at home. So that, that's super healthy. There's all different aspects of health in that one. The video that we did. Next video, I want to do one of that pumpkin recipe I just described.
Yeah, that'd be good.
It's so easy to make though, but it's so good too. Venison too. Venison is a good time of year to have venison recipes and pumpkin recipes, and so that's what we do at my house. And being Menominee, or even if you're not Menominee, wild rice has those health benefits to it. So there's that. And Thanksgiving is, to me, is pretty, because I sat down, I had a notebook full of things. I brought this cookbook here, Indian cookbook. This is from the Menominee Historical Museum. They got a couple of cookbooks there, Indian cookbooks. What I like about this one is that these recipes are written the way you would describe them from no cooking experience. So a little dash of this, a little dash of that. I like that though, because I think that reaches out to more people because they have that understanding, And as a chef, you should be able to decipher those procedures. You should be able to decipher those and what they actually are. As a home cook, you speak to more people this way instead of trying to use those fancy mirepoix culinary words. They work in industry because it's universal, but for at home, it reaches to more people like this. So they got a couple Indian cookbooks there. Everything from beavers, turtle soup.
Wow.
So a lot of our traditional squirrel soup. I know squirrels also, they prepare themselves for the cold season, eat a lot of nuts and things like that. So we incorporate that, in our digestion too, and we eat those squirrels, and you need a lot of squirrels. We'll see turtle soup, squirrel. So they got a couple of these books, which are super neat.
So what are your thoughts on maybe some foods that we consider traditional, like fry bread, versus some of the healthier traditional foods?
Traditional foods, it's per tribe, so each tribe has their kind of staple dishes that they did, probably based on region and accessibility. And we hear wild rice, sturgeon, deer meat. I believe we had buffalo, and fry bread. Again, it's a savory donut. It's deep fried, and they're good. They taste real good, but that's not pre-contact. We didn't have they're just not good for you. Just moderation is key. I still eat Indian tacos myself, but I just need to let people know that don't know. Even Native communities, every event you go to, there's fry bread. Right? Every food sale, fry bread, right? And there's nothing wrong with that because they sell. They sell. But if we push the information out to educate people. Some people, they know that they're not, the healthiest thing, but just from word of mouth, from hearing somebody speak about it, then you get that kind of sense of like, yeah, like they're right. That's not who we were as traditional people. We didn't have that. Those commodities were forced on us at one time or another. When we were put on our reservations, we weren't allowed to go off the reservation. What we naturally do, go hunt, different camps, different areas. I think around here, what do we have? Maple sugar camp around here, sturgeon, I believe. And those sturgeons still know where to go for all those years that they were in Shawano. They're still trying to come to the reservation. When I do let a couple across for our sturgeon feast, they come to the same exact spot. It's embedded in them from their ancestors. So that's what we're meant to do, and we're put here naturally. They're put here naturally. That's just what we're meant to do. What do you guys do for the holidays?
Typical turkey and cranberries and stuffing. But since I started hunting, we've been adding venison. So.
Yeah, you start hunting.
Yeah.
When you get a deer, do you take it in to get processed?
Parts of it.
Parts of it.
We normally save the straps for ourselves, and then the rest is all processed.
Smart. What I would like to do is one of the videos break down a deer. One of my best friends, he's a master butcher. So I want to do a little video of him breaking down how to do it properly from that perspective, because a lot of people around here know how to do it, and they know how to do it well. But then there's a lot of people who don't know how to do it. Even if you don't go out and hunt, it's still an interesting thing when you go out and you get deer meat, or you're gifted deer meat. You'll know what the cut is, and that all helps too of preparing a meal. Like, okay, I got the neck, I'm gonna make a roast, or this is part of the straps, and that's also super helpful of what cuts and how the best way to prepare those.
For me, I pretty much do the traditional Thanksgiving as well, but I think it was last year or the year before, I actually made a apple cranberry salad.
Oh, really?
And I brought that, and it's actually really good. I think it's got red onions in there as well. It's actually really good.
Yeah, apples and cranberries. I love cranberries.
I thought that fit well for the fall kind of theme.
It is, yep. And that's a good way to go about it, too, is whatever's in season. You just put them together. That's the way it's meant to be anyway. When you go out there and you gather stuff, and certain things you gather, and they're ripe at the same time, it's fitting. So I go to the grocery store and I grocery shop, I look for whatever's ripe. So if you don't have a meal idea, I go there and fall time, apples, bushels of apples everywhere. So I'll grab some apples and I'll create my meal around that item. You build around the kitchen sink, you build your house around there. So that's a cool idea. We're going to have to do a video on that.
Well, to counteract the healthiness of the salad, I also have another tradition for Christmas.
Oh, boy.
And it started maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I made this white cake with cranberry. It's sugared cranberries, and it's got so much butter and cream in it you don't even want to know. But my family liked it so much that it's white cake with cranberry inside too, as well, I should say. But my family liked it so much, now I have to make it every year, and
now,
it's yeah.
Do you have the cake? Okay, then you can come over.
Yeah, and the
you brought the cake, right?
The frosting is white chocolate as well. So
okay.
yeah, it's really heavy, and it's really good.
I mean, it's going to be hard to take every single thing and just make it super healthy, because that in itself is unnatural for us. Look at maple syrup. There's certain things out there that are just, we have a sweet tooth. We enjoy sweets. We just need to slow back on them and maybe have the cake.
Have one slice of it, though.
Yeah. And then maybe surround it, though, with other items. And so you don't need to have all cakes. Maybe surround it with other health options, some fruits and stuff.
Yeah, I guess I kind of look at it as a treat that we have once a year.
Yeah,
And
there you go. That's perfect.
I'm not making this cake really good.
After people hear this podcast, while you're getting requests.
Contact me for the recipe. No.
I don't know. I don't normally make things. Like the furthest I've ever got with making things is baking cookies.
Like the Christmas cookies.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I have to do
Frost
that
them up.
every year, too.
Yeah, we do that. And even that, we just maybe test run some frosting with some yogurt, or you can substitute any fat for any fat. Butter for oil, butter for any fat. We'll substitute for any fat. Some of them have higher smoke points, some of them have lower smoke points, so you would just have to, everybody has a phone, everybody has information there. Just Google, best options, substitutions for this and this and this.
So for people who don't know, because you're mentioning unsaturated fat, what is the difference between, can you explain the difference between saturated and unsaturated fat and why one is considered healthier? You don't know.
Well, I can tell you unsaturated fats are like the vegetable oils, the avocado oils, corn oils, salmon, fish has the good fats. Unsaturated is good. And saturated, moderation on that one. So it's, if you don't know, all that information is, you're only going to grasp so much of that. Just simplistic, unsaturated, yes. So they should take the word un out there and put yes behind it.
So like from somebody that doesn't cook, so like saturated fats, is that like the non-organic fats, kind of like lard?
Lard can be organic. Lard is from a pig.
Okay.
Saturated fat is animal.
Or animal fat.
Right. Is that, I don't know. The way I had like a demonstration to show people was we took a straw and we took butter, and then we also had an oil, I don't know if it was olive oil or something like that. And you put the straw in the butter, and that's kind of like your artery. So the saturated fat can build up in there or cause build up in your artery.
Right.
Whereas the unsaturated fat, it slips through. So that was kind of just a small demonstration that we showed kids, actually. Kind of bring home the difference between the two. But I believe saturated fat.
But when you did it, you remembered all of that.
I did.
I bet the kids remember that too.
Yeah.
So it's that the act of them doing that, If you take kids and they go plant tomatoes themselves, and they assist and they see the tomato grow, they're more likely to eat the tomato. Activities, when you get them involved like that, that's huge, because those kids are going to be us. They're going to be us someday, and they're going to remember that. They're going to remember the straw story, and I stuck the straw in. Unsaturated, yes.
Right.
So
that's kind of, like you said, you can only retain so much information, but you just remember the difference.
People have the same questions, and hopefully it helps them. If nothing else, I'll give my contact information, and I'm always willing to help people. And I don't. Oh, hey, I'll help you out for $20. No, it's it just helps because I actually want to help. Yeah. So I've been off the reservation about 14, 15 years, and I was looking for a job to pay rent. So I wanted to be a chef. Originally I wanted to be a Spanish translator because I heard they make good money. I'm Mexican descent. That'd be easy. I just go to school, get the B, the B in Spanish, and start making money. But no, so I started school, and Spanish was my major, and I took a couple classes. And some of those, they give me math equations and things like everybody trying to sit around me in class. Because they see my name and they're trying to sit around me in class. And these math equations, I don't know how to do these in English. It was just a super. Plus that Spanish they teach you is the traditional from Spain, and our Spanish is more Americanized or indigenous. We have a lot of indigenous words that are mixed in, and they're short, just like English. Oh, you from Wisconsin? Because we speak a certain way, certain words that we, like slang words. And so I was roughing her in school, and I applied at the mall. I applied everywhere, and nobody called me back. So I called my dad, and I said, Dad, nobody wants to hire me. I applied everywhere. He's like, well, I'll apply everywhere again. So, okay. So I went on, applied everywhere again. I wanted to work at GameStop. I played video games. I was young. I played video games. I was like, it'd be cool to, work in that environment. Won't feel like work, and maybe I'll get some discounts. But then this pizza place called me. And so I took the interview, went to the interview, and sent out a couple paper clips out there. And he said, sell me those paper clips. I was like, well, they're already yours. So we went through the whole interview process of the sales, if I had some kind of salesman qualifications. But he hired me to work on a cash register. So I wasn't a cook. I was originally on a cash register. And they hired another guy to work in a kitchen, making the pizzas. The guy making the pizzas, his trainer, his English wasn't so good. So he spoke mostly Spanish. And I worked in a cash register, so they switched us because the other kid they hired didn't speak no Spanish at all. So they switched us out, and then that's when my cooking career started. From there, it was easier for me from there to get jobs because I can write down. I worked at a pizza place.
Yeah.
So I can go from a starter job to a little bit more of a starter job, but it was a little bit more pay.
Like stepping stones? Yeah,
stepping stones. I remember they only hired me for the holidays, so I had to try to find a job after that. But the biggest thing for me was I got one free meal per day. So I'd save my meal, I cut it in half, and I'd eat it later on at night. I'd eat the rest of my meal. So that was big for me. I was appreciative of that anyway. And then from there, I gained experience at at a fast food place, and they have a grilling competition. I hated being on a grill. I remember looking at the schedule, and I'd be on the grill, and I dreaded that day. I dreaded being on a grill. My first day on a grill, I fell so far behind. They kicked me off in like 5-10 minutes. They were kicking me off the grill because I was like behind. What's going on? Fast food work, those workers, they deserve medals. Every single one of them. Show up at 12:15, not 12 o'clock. You're gonna be sitting in line. Then go back at 6 o'clock. It's packed again. They work hard. So I dreaded it. Kicked me off. I got a little better at it. And they have a grilling competition every year. And they sign everybody up, regardless you want to do it or not. They sign me up. And actually, I did pretty well. I actually did really well. So I won the regionals, won the sectionals. And our restaurant, we don't have a history of winning these things, so it was brand new to them, too. It was just a real hidden talent that I had. It was really hidden. But from that point, I started to be interested in cooking. So then I signed up for culinary school, and I called the culinary school. Do you mind if I shadow some classes? And they said, yeah. And I went there, and I signed up. And then I started YouTube, because I was, worked on a flat top, so I started YouTube hibachi and see all the tricks that they do and the skill sets that they have. I was like, man, someday that's what I want to do. And long story short, a few years later, I got my chance to do it, and I ran with it. So most of my career, that's what I've done, is the hibachi, teppanyaki. You go cook, in front of people, and you perform in front of people. It's hard work, and it's you have to get used to doing things in front of people. So they're paying good money to be there, not only for the food, but for your entertainment. And you not only have to do it just that once, you have to do it again and again and again and again that same night, and then come back the next day and do it on a Tuesday, on a Wednesday, on a Thursday. And on a weekend, you don't even have time to think. You just go. But the more you do it, the better you get at it. So most of my career, that's what I've done. But the Japanese food and indigenous food, their respect for the cuisines and that carries over from not only the kitchen or the kitchen table, it carries over into everyday things. You start to carry that respect. And there's a properness to things, and there's a discipline to things just like the moderation would be a discipline you'd carry over. So I'm seeing a lot of parallels with that.
So how do you think that your background as Menominee influenced your choice?
My choice in my direction of my culinary career?
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I first started cooking, it was whomever hired me.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I started to discover that, you know, I can have a little push now, a little weight, you know, because I have an experience, then that's when I jumped into the Japanese cuisine. And being Menominee, I feel that that some of those cultural values are the same.
Mm-hmm.
So that made me feel really comfortable being in those environments and meetings. And not when you work at a Japanese restaurant, they're not all Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's Japanese food.
Mm-hmm.
But the way it's prepared, you should mirror traditionally what they did. You should mirror that because you want to keep the respect for that meal. You can create Menominee dishes. You don't have to be Menominee to create those dishes. And you don't have to be Menominee for your body to say, hey, this is healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But being Menominee, we probably have more knowledge of how to create those dishes. So let's get them out there into the community. Let's help everybody out, you know, and that makes us proud as Menominee people too. You know, our meals were healthy. We were healthy people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we still are. You know, we still have some of those. We hunt and we fish, and we still carry that every day.
Do you have any like favorite recipes that are like traditional and healthy, like Menominee traditional and healthy?
Yep, the pumpkin. Our next video. That's what I want. I want to do it. Get all of us our YouTube channel.
I should also mention that we do have what Francisco is referring to as our last video that we made together was
Plank salmon.
yeah, planks.
Sorry.
I'm blanked on
Maple plank
that. Maple
salmon.
plank salmon.
Yep,
and vegetables as well. And that it's an instructional video that's available on our MITW multimedia YouTube channel. So if anyone's interested in looking that up, it's pretty easy, but it turned out really well. And I can say from firsthand experience, it tasted amazing. So I think it's a good starter recipe, but also healthy and pretty easy to get the ingredients and local ingredients as well. So
Yep, local, indigenous, and if they're not indigenous and you didn't go harvest them, we try to pick things that were easy to go get from a
And
Walmart,
find,
from a, you know, our Save Lots, our local grocery store, and so there's not some kind of rare fungus that you need to go find in a mountain somewhere and fly in on a helicopter, you know, and
I think our idea behind the recipe that we picked or Francisco picked and the ones that we are going to be doing in the future is to make it easy for someone like Gary, who
Yes.
has only baked cookies before, to be able to access healthy food and know that they can make it themselves.
yeah, it just adds more to your arsenal. Because you cook based on what you know. You know, you make mac and cheese because you know how to do it.
Right.
It just adds, and you're 100% correct with the simple. And simple doesn't mean that it's not as good. It just
Right.
means the technique is there. A lot of cooking is simple techniques. Some things in culinary school they teach you're never going to use, like a tourné cut. You're never going to use that, ever. But they make you learn that, but you're never going to use it. I can't say never, but you're never going to use it.
Like a regular home cook's probably not going to
Even in a restaurant, you're not going to tourné cut a bunch of vegetables. Nobody wants that.
It's
No
for the
chef is
photo.
going to sit there and do that.
It's for the photo op.
Yeah, you do one, then. But I want things when we do these videos, when I post these recipes, when I do events and, teaching events, cooking demonstrations, I try to pick things that are simple to do but effective. And the best things in life are simple, The recipes, if you have good quality ingredients, you don't need to put a bunch of, extra in there and a bunch of, fillers, and you don't have to mask everything.
Right.
Like it was very... The sauce, man, that sauce. That sauce is good on everything. Yeah, you could put that on Bart can eat it. But and again, it promotes the maple planks. How many of us know that those exist here on our own home? Mm-hmm. And the maple is from a tree from our homeland here. Mm-hmm. It's not grown somewhere where there's chemicals and things of that nature. So it promotes that. It promotes other businesses that sell them local here. The squash I grew at home. We have our own garden and stuff, but nothing is 100% organic, but we always try our best to make sure that it's real close to that.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of going off of your garden, DAFS also offers the community help with that, correct?
Yes, our Menominee Food and Agriculture Program, DAFS.
DAFS, okay.
I used to spell it.
I didn't know how to say
I used to spell it DAFAS when I first started working there.
Oh.
And I would give that information to people. And then one day we're all sitting in the office. I said, well, what is the other A for? And they're like, there is no other A. I got to call a lot of people back then. Our department, what we do is food and agriculture. Right now, I don't want to say we're in the off season, but we're in a prep season for the busy season, which is we help people with their home with gardens. If you have an area and you've never had a garden before, we'll come to your house with a truck, with tillers, depends on your soil. We'll fortify your soil if you need whatever kind of topsoil, or we'll fortify that soil. And we'll do the work. If you want to do the work, we'll let you run the tiller. So someday you go buy your own tiller, you'll know how to do it. You'll know how to look at soil. And we help people do that. We teach people how to fish, but we'll also catch you a fish. We'll do both of those things, especially when you have a disability or an elder. Not only we also do the raised beds. So if you're an elder or have a disability, we will come with a raised bed. We'll fill it up with soil. We'll bring the plants over that we started or we got from organic farm, and we'll plant them for people. And not only will we plant them, and we'll come back and we'll check on them. If the elder is unable to go out there and weed it, we'll come back and we'll weed the garden for them. Once that plant is produce fruit, then also what's super important is not only from the seed to the fruit, is getting that into your body. So that's where the food comes in, the food demonstrations also. Hey, crooked neck squash, here's how I prepare it, or here's a way to prepare it. And if you like it, that's perfect. That's something you add to your arsenal. So we do the full circle of helping the community. And it's no cost to nobody.
That's awesome.
So if you want, or if, hey, my auntie, she would like a garden. Okay, give me the address. I'll put her on the list. And then during garden season in the spring, we'll come till, and then sometimes you got to retail, depending, and we'll get people set up for success. The more of these gardens we get out, the more garden beds we get out, the healthier food is going to start flowing around this community. And everybody likes gardening. Everybody likes to talk about that tomato they grew, that cucumber they grew, and then they start, doing like your salad. It's like, I did this with my cucumber or that with my cucumber. And not only the gardening part of it, but when we show up to some of these elders' homes, they don't get a lot of visitors, some of them, so they just enjoy that visitation. oh, my cucumber grew, this much, and my plants are just looking beautiful, and they just enjoy that interaction, that visitation. Not only is beneficial to them, it's beneficial for us. And that's that indigenous mindset, that's how you learn things in life. It's through our elders. And the youth helps them with some of those physical tasks. They have the knowledge, and you might learn something that's not even about gardening. You might learn something, about something else, that they have all that knowledge and the conversations just go, but that's the indigenous, that's how you do it.
The other aspect of it that I think about when I think about the work that you're doing is the environmental part of it as well, which I think is a very indigenous value, is to, respect the earth and have that relationship. And if we think about modern day food systems, a lot of it is not environmentally friendly, to say the least. So when you're talking about growing your own food, hunting your own food, fishing your own food, and harvesting, I think there's an environmental aspect of it there as well that's not common in this modern day and age. A lot of modern food is shipped from far away, and there's a lot of impact from that.
Correct. You are correct. Sometimes people get lost in the sales part of it, because that's some of your job. I need to sell cucumbers. I need to grow as many as I can. I need them big. So you get lost in how the organically, and you get lost in your mindset of, I need to grow so many boxes of cucumbers. I need them to be big so they can sell. I'm gonna sell these at how many, $5 a piece. Don't go buy a $5 cucumber.
And that's when the chemicals start getting added.
Exactly. You start to lose track of what's important here, and you get lost in the salesman idea there. Our stuff, we don't sell. We do it at the farmer's market. We do set up a stand, and for a short period of time, we had so many plants that we were giving them away for free. We're like, hey, you want a plant? Take it, take it, take it, take it. We're trying to give these plants away. But we also have a big demonstration garden. I forget how big it was. Like 30 by 50, or it was pretty big. And this is the first year we've done this program, so we're still kind of learning what people like and what people, what's the most efficient way to help the community. Because being out there, talking with the community, you learn things that way. You learn what's common, what people are saying. You take that commonness and okay, this is what people want, so this is the direction we're going to go in. We have a big demonstration garden, and in our demonstration garden, we have multiple ways. So it's cut into sections of how to plant, because not everybody has the same type of yard, same type of soil, same type of environment. So we have multiple ways, multiple options. So there's not just one way how to garden, how to plant. So we give people that variety option, and we're always open. People want to come help us do it, volunteer workers. And when we get produce, we'll send you home with the produce. It's we're genuinely trying to help people out. There's no hidden agenda. There's no, we're genuinely trying to help people.
I think there's also a misconception that is, I guess, in the larger world, that natives weren't farmers or didn't cultivate. We're seen as like hunter-gatherer. And I know I attended a presentation by Dr. Overstreet a couple of years ago.
Smart person there.
Yeah, and he did an amazing job explaining the archaeological sites that he's found and is studying, and how much there actually was, like how much Menominee culture did know about our land and how to cultivate food.
Yeah, and we're still relearning what our ancestors did, and they're just so far advanced. But
yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, it's super just mind blowing of how intelligent they were. How did they learn some of this stuff? Like, how do you learn that? If you go to the Menominee Historical Museum, They have a little garden in the back,
Mm-hmm.
and it's their, I forget the name of it. They call it their ancestral garden. It's mirrored image of what they would find out in the woods there
Right.
from Overstreet. And they would mirror that. So they have a little garden set up mirrored on that. So if you want to go see that, and that's open to the public too.
Yeah. The house that I grew up is kind of near one of those sites that he's studying. And that's a place that I would actually play when I was a kid out in the woods. And it was cool because I remember when I was a kid, I would see those rows.
Yeah.
You can actually still see the rows that they were growing crops in. So
that's cool. We're lucky as a Menominee people. We're lucky.
Yeah. So
that's a good one. We are super lucky to be on our where our ancestors were and to see those, because those are your ancestors did that. And I bet they're looking down, super proud, seeing one of our youth out there in that area still. You know, from their garden. Man, that's super neat. That's super important. And just stories like that, you know, are super important. That's the best way to do it, is reach to them kids and let them know small things like the straw thing. You know,
yeah.
Carry that for the rest of your life.
I certainly remember it.
I'll remember it from now on too.
5 years or something since I gave those kids that lesson. So
if anybody needs help with gardening or even like healthy suggestions for food, how can they contact you or the department?
The department, we have a Facebook page. Menominee, you have to type in Menominee Food and Agriculture, and it'll pop up. And then on our Facebook page, we have, I did different cooking demonstrations. The Veterans Powwow, I did one, and there were different groups that I've cooked for. And every time I do one of those, I post pictures, but I also post the recipe. And then I have somebody sit with me who's not a chef, and we discuss. I tell them the recipe, and I give them procedures, and they tell me if they're able to do it. Or like, hey, you know, nobody's going to understand what that means.
Yeah.
Okay, so we try to word it, and we try to present it so it's doable. You know, you don't want to get 3/4 into your recipe, and you're like, what did I do? Like, what is this? I'm lost.
I definitely had those moments.
So it's we try to genuinely help people, and I don't want to, you know, chef out and have this recipe and nobody's going to be able to follow it. Most recipes you're going to be able to follow. I'm not saying they're all super complicated or but yeah, on our Facebook page, we do have recipes that we post from the demonstrations I do. We have different pictures of our progress throughout the year of our gardens and some things we do out in the community. So you can reach us through Facebook. My email, my personal email is kikohibachi@gmail. KIKKO Hibachi HIBACHI @gmail.com. So that'd be a good way to get a hold of me. Or our YouTube channel.
Yeah, you can view that demonstration video on YouTube.
Well, if you want to contact Department of Agriculture and Food Systems, their phone number is on the menominee-nsn.gov website. We're also on Facebook as Menominee Agriculture and Food Systems.
Yes, correct. It'll pop up. If you just type in food and agriculture, there's so many food and agriculture programs. So you have to type in Menominee.
Okay.
It'll pop up.
All right, well, thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Waiwanan for listening to the MITW Podcast. Follow us on our MITW Podcast Facebook page. You can also subscribe to the MITW Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. The MITW Podcast can also be found under the Community tab on menominee-nsn.gov. If you have any questions or comments, you can email us at podcast@mitw.org.